Okay, so as I've said before, there's a lot of Pokemon that have been scrapped from Pokemon games, but one of the things that's really interesting is how Gen 2 was really supposed to still be split up, or Gen 1 was supposed to be split up in two games, green and red. And somewhere around, I think it was like 186 originally instead of 191. And it's kind of interesting, like what those Pokemon could have been altogether, but rather than the 35 out of the 40 that we know of so far, maybe 36, if you're not counting Poliwealth, which was later turned into Poliwrath. So, apparently there was somewhere like 150 of them each you could get in each version, but like there's like 36 of them that are like some of them you have to like really go out of your way to get, like Mew for example. It's still debatable how you would have got Mew, maybe through an event, but like there's still like a good chunk of the original version exclusive Pokemon, and then there was some more of them. Like some of the beta Pokemon were like scrapped. I found you could catch the baby Goldeen and all that, so that solved that problem. I know for a fact that Trample and the elephant, the Indonesian elephant, and the Stactus, which was the cactus, I think Kecleon became that later on. Then, yeah, let's see here. I'm trying to think. Like, so we had those Pokemon. You also had the baby, like, you had the baby Ponyta, and you couldn't catch that until, like, Pokemon Red. In the final version at least, or not the final version, in the original version they had. So they had that. There was also, I believe, Coughing Ekans. His family was also exclusive Pokemon Red. I'm trying to think who else. You had the two starters you'd have to trade for and their families. You also had to trade for um, who was the other one? I hate this. I hate it when I can't remember these things. I'm serious. But no, but seriously though, you had the starters, you had the other fossil, so that was normal. It required another playthrough, basically. That's basically up until that point. Um, let's see here. Basically, let's see here. So that had been Omega was obviously only obtainable through the Silph. I'm sure they would have given that to you instead of Lapras. Lapras probably would have been moved somewhere to the Seafoam Islands, and I could totally see what's his name getting them. Yeah, Blastoise would have been caught with the good rod as early as Fuchsia City, but just about anywhere you could find a Blastoise, and it would evolve into Blastoise at level 30. You could have caught Jagu or Maws in this case, which is basically Jaws. You could have caught Jagu somewhere in the, surfing around the islands. There's a lot of water, obviously, like Cinnabar Island, south of Pallet Town, or even right or left of the Seafoam Islands, or south of Fuchsia City, where the water starts to really pick up. The ocean, rather. There's also, let's see, too many Pokemon to think of. Okay. Obviously, you could still catch like all the Pokemon that we've seen so far. They basically had like the Mew glitch you could use, but it was a little bit different, and you had to use like the special Ditto number in order to have Ditto copy whatever the last Pokemon you used in, and then you'd use max repels or any kind of repels to get to the menu where it pops up by itself. You hit the B button and it would just cancel it out, trigger a battle, and then whatever Pokemon you'd fight. That's basically how it worked in this case. How I was able to get to 186 without actually hacking the other Pokemon. So it's interesting though. I do think that it's still debatable, some of the Pokemon. I'm still trying to figure out what the 182, 183, and 184 is. I think it would have been a grass family that probably would have been exclusive. Oh yeah, that's another one. Oddish's family was exclusive to the Pokemon Red version, not Pokemon Green. You get to catch Bellsprout's family, so that's interesting. But there was one in between them. It's possible it could have been a Lilliplant or Petalil. the Pokemons that were in Gen 5, because I remember Ken Sugimori mentioned before that there was actually a scrapped evolution for one of those Pokemon. Like Petalin would evolve into Littlein, I believe. But the thing was, though, there was a middle evolution between those two. And they said that there were some Pokemon that were based on some of the families from Gen 1. So it's possible that those could have been from Gen 1, the grass family that we didn't see. But they decided to reuse it in Gen 5. I wonder what it would look like if it wasn't Gen 1. What was its prototype version look like? You know, and then they used the Aerodactyl fossil, the Kabutops fossil, and the ghost sprite for those as placeholders, which is really interesting because they still had like a bunch of empty sprites they could have used for Pokemon. So that's how that would have worked out. Really, if that is true, how many ideas they had at the beginning, but then they just changed it and used it later on as something else.